Hey, how's it going? I'm here on a lark, kind of. I was just checking in on my YouTube site and looking in my video manager, and I was surprised to see how many thumbs up there were for my latest video. Because of the subject matter, I really thought that one might be kind of a hard sell. I mean, how many people want to deal with fear? It's not fun. It doesn't feel good. It's not pretty, and all that kind of a thing. It's just that it's so critically important in this particular slice of time. And it's also critically important simply because it's the major method of manipulation used by the powers that were. And they're the powers that were because it's not working so well anymore, is it? So, we're waking up. We're coming out from under the grasp of the beast. You know, they're the ones that are terrified. They really are. But I'm really surprised. I am. And so at the end of that one, oh, maybe that was thumbs up saying, hey, we like them shorter. So I'll see what I can do to keep it going that way. Although nobody mentioned that specifically in the comments. Okay, so I did one right after that, and it was on how the ET hybridization program and the whole abductions thing. Some things have gelled and come clear for me, and but what I'm going to do is, I mean, I'm not trying to trick you or anything, but this is the first journal of that day. And I think as a whole, there was a first, second, and third. So what you just saw was the second one. What I'm doing here is I'm going to give you the first one. And then pretty quick after that, I'll go ahead and record the third one on the ET program and my conclusions about it. So as usual, I have quite forgotten what's in this. It's called Adopting the 7% Belief, Integrating New Beliefs. Yeah, see, and I mentioned, I think, in the last recording, this 7% thing. So, there is a certain sense to going with them, not so much in the order they're uploaded, but in the order where they were written. So you kind of have to stay on top of that. And remember, on any of these, you can click over. I always link back and forth to the text in the transcript. So you can click over and follow along if you like. So this is from the 20th. Gosh, is that only yesterday? Yeah, the second one of the day. The Mayan day was one read. It's the start of a new Tricina, which is the Mayan week, only it's a 13-day week. And so here we go. On changing our consciousness, on making the shift into higher awareness, it is the beliefs that are in the way. We must be ever weeding our garden of belief internally. These beliefs don't show themselves daily or at all easily, for they're hidden in their subconscious lair. Plants or weeds in the garden of belief. What to do? How to get them to show themselves so we can do some weeding? Well, first, it might make an interesting exercise, though, not strictly necessary, to make a list of our current beliefs. You might surprise yourself. Now, this is the ones that we're aware of consciously, just the main ones. We can write them down and even number them in relation of their importance in our life. Most important one winds up first. For fun, you might even give them another ranking, one that indicates your attachment to that belief. In other words, how difficult might it be to let that one go? Now, while, like I said, this isn't necessary, it might also be wise for the simple reason that there is no more precious knowledge than self knowledge. And we don't really know the self. No one does. Yet, how many are even aware of this most basic fact that we don't know the self? Among the educated masses, still living under mind domination, they would all likely claim some level of self knowledge. Yet, on the spiritual way, we discover that our biggest blind spots are where we think we know something. That's what closes us off to further knowledge on that topic. And once again, the mirror effect, making 3D life seem a backwards reflection of the real. This is the paradox that many of us find to be such a delight, that which pretzels the mind. So, whether or not we make a list of the current beliefs, I suggest we try this out. Write on a post-it or your chosen medium this one thing: I am conscious of only 7% of my mind. Just that. Word it as you like. I am conscious of only 7% of my mind. Put it where it will be seen daily or more often. When your eyes light on it, let it register in heart. It takes just a flash of a second to do this once you set your intent. Now, when I do something like this, I make up a bunch of them and I put it on the bathroom mirror, and I just here and there throughout the house, so that whatever I'm doing, I'll see it, and I'll just take that second to acknowledge it. Now, this is a new chosen belief, in contrast to the ones we were programmed with without either our knowledge or consent. Since this one is verified by science, that will help many be willing to accept it and take it on board. You may want to change it to 10% or whatever other number you feel best about. That part doesn't matter so much. What matters is the effect that this statement can have on your life, on your consciousness, on your world. Now, what this statement says to the mind is that all it has access to in a conscious manner is 10% or less of the whole. While this is at first startling to mind, whose natural arrogance makes it want to believe it has all things pretty well mastered, mind believes it understands reality, how things work. Each mind thinks only its beliefs are right, or it wouldn't have adopted them. Now, this is done subconsciously, if not outright consciously. This is just a property of mind. It's neither bad nor good. It just is. Now, however, mind has a new fact with which to grapple. All of its wonderful constellation of information and knowledge, could it really be that this is but the merest fraction of its own wholeness? This takes time to penetrate, to sink down in and have the implications settle out. This definitely takes mind down a few pegs, conscious mind, and that's great. An arrogant mind is hard to get around or work with. So, there's an example of how basically simple it can be to select a belief and take it on board. An intent, a bit of determination, and a few post-it notes here and there, and you're set. Now, all that's to be done is watch and observe, but of course, what you may begin to find is that mind becomes more plastic, more malleable. Mind is not quite so cocksure of itself going forward. It is more open to listen to others, perhaps, and more open to receive more of your new chosen beliefs. Now, subconscious mind has no problems taking on anything that's fed into it. It's the conscious mind that stations a guard, so to speak, needing to evaluate what it encounters to file it away properly. Now, there's no problem with this evaluation unless mind is hardened and calcified in its beliefs. That makes it reject, almost on autopilot, any conflicting information or new beliefs. In order to do this, conscious mind is connected with subconscious mind. That's where it gets what it thinks it knows and certainly what it believes from the subconscious. Now, it cannot access and bring forward the information consciously, but there's some sort of a backroom link that connects them. Now, that might be too much explanation, too many words for a fairly simple thing, but it's meant as a template for any new belief that you choose. If it's important to you, the little daily reminders are most useful to get it in there past the conscious evaluation and into the subconscious belief garden. Double quick. Reading the little notes is watering the new plant to help it establish and grow. During the watch and observe time, many things will come up for you that are related to the new belief, but if you're not observant, you won't catch the link. These will be those things that the new belief comes in conflict with, coming up into conscious awareness for the evaluation available there. The subconscious works by simply carrying out all directions it receives. Thus, when it gets conflicting signals, that freezes it up and it requires further input from conscious mind. So it is the subconscious that is sending up these new thoughts that may be on old subjects, but if you look at each one carefully, you'll likely see how they conflict in some way with your new belief. So your job, if you're alert, is to simply make the choice. What to retain as belief and what to pull from the garden, throw overboard, discard. That being the purpose behind these thoughts, you can see why simply believing all of your thoughts just isn't wise. Sometimes they arise in order to be eliminated, in order to bring the overall mind back into balance and smooth operation. Do you see? Now, admittedly, the changes made in your day-to-day consciousness by taking on such a belief will likely be subtle. If, however, you're alert, you will find happenings directly attributable to the new belief you've adopted. Some things will be much easier than they were before. Some things that once held your interest will be suddenly uninteresting. We can't go for a one-to-one correlation on such stuff, but it's noticeable anyway. That's my point. And this example was only one new belief. We're generally not so linear and may be adopting and discarding beliefs many at a time. You can watch one video and find half a dozen new things you want to take on board. So that's when we're really working our interior belief garden, converting it into something we'll enjoy more, not just what was planted by the ones who programmed us. Now, when I say things are magic or magical, I don't mean to imply real magic, as in Crowley or magicians and things weaving spells for instant gratification. Natural creation works differently than that, and time is an ingredient or maybe a soil amendment that is generally included in the gardening. Things will change, differences will appear, but you may have to wait for a change of season, often not immediately. Also, we must train our interior vision to be watching the self not the outer world, or we won't spot the changes until maybe someone else comments on them. Most of us are just not self-aware enough yet. Do you see this? With our vision outward focused, we miss what is the more important activity going on inside. So, if you will, consider taking on another belief here. The one that says that changes will manifest without a doubt. Just accept it for now. Try it out. Take it for a test run, maybe a month or so, and give it a chance. Suspend doubt for a fair trial. Why is that? Well, because, my dears, life delivers what we expect. This is the observation problem in a nutshell. Backwards, maybe, but it's got the sense of it. We influence what we observe. It can't be helped. It's just physics. Thus, doubt is nothing but an expectation for something not to work. It's like watering your garden with salt water. Do you remember how in the Bible and other sacred texts the injunction is given to believe what you ask for, that you already have it, and that such belief will even move mountains? Something there. So please see that belief is an important component in any alchemy. It has an effect just as doubt does. As we are more and more self-observant, we'll tune in to the nuances of such things. As we self-observe, we'll see them in action there in our own world. After a while, as we persist in this, there is no more doubt. You won't have to work anymore to erase it. It will be burned up in your clear perception, your sight. It won't be able to stand before you simply knowing what is so. Sight or vision is a power that is within the reach and the grasp of all of us. It is an unacknowledged power that doesn't really become activated until we find ourselves in heart space or in the heart of the now, for that's where the seat of our power lies. We must spend some time and effort taking our power back from all those in whom we vested it. But it takes first seeing that we've done that. More accurately, that has been done to us without our knowledge or consent. But we've got to wake up to that. We've got to see it. How did that happen? It was in our programming to be powerless, layered on us in so many ways, guises and disguises, that it's a whole network feeding powerlessness, if that is our chosen belief. This is where it gets a bit dangerous, though. This is the very point where many have slipped off the way or the path and come up with inflated or enlightened egos instead of getting out of the way and shining the Christic light. How does that happen, you may ask? It has to do with the mind, in which most people are deeply invested. If, instead of going empty and empty-handed into heart, we come in with the mind, then we've slipped and we're just fooling ourselves. We're not really in heart. Mind and ego are largely synonymous, as are mind and time, or time-space, they're one. These are one and the same, and they are lower order aspects of being that are tied strictly to 3D, and they serve us well here. But if we want to rise, then this is not the way. Do you see? They'll hold you to 3D. It is important to separate out your place of true power from ego. These two are mutually exclusive in this that I share here. Much as I don't like separating things out into bits and pieces, feeling that this supports the separatist view, Still, at times it's just useful. So do see this as but a temporary separation. It is only a way of shining light on a certain perspective. Once we see from there, we can go back into the real oneness again. We've all seen or met a few enlightened egos. One so convinced of the rightness of their way and view of things that they cannot listen to any conflicting information. They're not open, they're very closed, firmly set in their one perspective. They're not interested in anything else. They know they're right. This is not the power of which I speak. We must go naked into our inner kingdom, taking nothing with us, not even our thoughts and opinions. Holding all beliefs lightly is also helpful in making this journey, this trek, head to heart. Why is that? Because once we really get in there, we'll see from such a different perspective, if we're open, that it will make mincemeat of all of our previous ways of viewing pretty much everything. So, coming in naked is just coming in prepared for that surrender of whatever gets in the way of pure seeing, of perceiving what's real from within. Truth. Surrender, surrender, surrender. Let go, let go, let go. This is the way of this life that takes you most quickly to the interior throne in your kingdom of heart. There is a place prepared for you there, but it's naked of this world's things and ways that you'll enter and take it up. It's not in 3D. Otherwise, you may get to see it, but not sit on it just yet, nor take up your scepter of power. Does this make sense, my friends? Are you listening from the now moment or from heart space? Please let me know in the comments what isn't clear enough. Be aware of this, however. Mind is the one wanting explanations. Generally, they aren't really needed. They don't solve anything or get you closer to this, even if you receive them. Thus, this points to some of the surrendering that litters this path into waking up. Surrendering our reliance and trust in thought. Okay, that's the end of the written journal. We're surrendering 3D here. We can see it that way. We are letting go of the footstool kingdom in order to experience a higher order of being. And that's what's found in what I call the heart. More accurately, it's not in the body. It's not anywhere in time and space, or like Papaji says, it's everywhere. But it's convenient to say the heart, because if you just put your attention, kind of center it in your chest, you're close enough that you're tuned into yourself that you'll connect up with this. So, that's just a phrasing, that's just a way of saying. But we really are moving into higher dimensional consciousness. When you meditate, you leave 3D. Now, we're not used to looking at it this way. This is really new for me. I mean, we have these experiences and we know they're kind of bizarre and we remark on how bizarre they are, but they're really not bizarre. They're just higher dimensional things going on. Perceptions of another order entirely. And I think it's fairly natural to realize we'll be letting an awful lot go in order to convert into our 5D beings. We'll be in light body. Now, it won't appear as light body to us. It'll be our solid form. But anytime we appear to someone in 3D, we can appear as light, being a 5D being. Okay, enough. I said I'd make it shorter and it's 25 minutes. I apologize. Talk to you again soon.